Hi, hello, and if you're new to the channel, welcome, and if you've been here before, welcome back. Now, this week, there isn't a video. Well, obviously there is, I'm just doing one now, but there's not one of my sort of usual videos, sort of 15 to 30 minutes. This is a quick, short video because I've had a very, very busy week working on my narrowboat, the Grey Wagtail. In this video, I'm just going to show you what I've been up to because with a narrowboat, it's not all about cruising, going through locks. There's so many chores to do. And as somebody recently said in a comment on one of my videos, they made a comment about trying to polish something that's obviously something else. I'll leave you to imagine what that is. And I just want to get across that there is a lot of things that you need to do on board just to maintain your boat. So here is a quick rundown of all the things that I've been up to in the past week or so, preparing my narrowboat for a big cruise, hopefully later this summer. Oh, and by the way, I was supposed to be going down to Thule's boatyard this week, but they cancelled it because they're currently rebuilding their diesel polishing machine. Anyway, enjoy. So what are some of the things I've been doing this past week that has prevented me from producing one of my usual videos? Well, one task was to wash down the roof of my narrowboat. Now, the roof of a narrowboat is an interesting place because it seems to be a dust and dirt magnet. The roof of my boat was absolutely filthy. It's not helped by the centre lines, which over the winter months had sort of worked into the groove on the side there and trapped a lot of dust and rubbish that would otherwise been washed over the side of the boat. Anyway, I washed down the boat, but it does need doing again. Another task that I decided to tackle was to apply a fresh coat of black paint to the gunwale of my narrowboat. In fact, I decided to paint right the way down to the rubbing band along the side of the boat. First thing I did was give the gunwale and the side of the boat a good wash down. I gave it a good scrub and then using a foam roller applied the paint to the gunwale. And I think it came out okay. Could do with another coat in places because it is a bit thin. However, it covered up most of the rust from the scratches that I'd accumulated on my last cruise. Now, to help get a nice sharp line between the black of the gunwale and the grey of the side of the boat, I used some blue painter's tape. I just ran it down the side of the boat, stuck it down, and then made sure that I painted right up to it. The process worked surprisingly well. The black paint that I used did a surprisingly good job at covering up some of the rather large scratches that I'd managed to get on the side of the boat over the summer. After applying the black paint and letting it dry overnight, one delight was removing the blue painter's tape. Quite satisfying. One last thing I did on the side of the boat was to install some solar panelled lights. These are motion sensitive, so if somebody walks by the boat or I approach the boat, they will turn on. These are actually held in place with magnetic tape, so I can move them around as need be. Full details in the description below. Now, I must admit the other side of the narrowboat is still a bit of a mess. I haven't been able to clean and polish the paintwork, and the cratch cover is definitely in need of a clean. It's gone really green over the winter months. Now, I have a cunning plan on how to access this side of the boat. As you can see, I've got a space next to me, so I'm just going to tow it over to that side of the gap. So once I've got the boat on the other side of the gap here, the spare mooring place, I will then be able to polish this side of the boat and also paint the gunwale and down to the rubbing strip. Now, when I was painting the rubbing strip on the left-hand side, the port side of the boat, what I did was I actually slackened the lines on the boat and then used ropes to pull it away from the pontoon so that I could actually get down there to paint it. So I know this method can work. So anyway, that's the other big task that awaits me. That is to do this side of my narrowboat. Polish the paintwork and give it a good paint. But I really must do something about this cratch cover. If you've got any tips, please leave them in the comments. Another task that I needed to do was paint the boat accessories. That is the boat hook, the barge pole, the plank, and also the brackets that these rest on top of the boat. I also needed to paint the top box of the boat. Now, the paintwork on the barge pole, boat hook and plank had become particularly bad over the summer. The hot summer in the UK had blistered the paintwork and it had cracked and started to flake off. So what I did was I used a wire brush to remove all the loose paintwork, and then I used an electric sander to sand everything down nice and smooth. The paint that I used was by Ronsil and worked really well. I really liked it. It went on well. It was easy to use, and what I particularly liked was it was very easy to clean the brushes afterwards. Anyway, to the boat hook and the barge pole and the plank, I ended up applying 3 coats of paint. And I've also now put some banding around them, because as you can see here, I held the poles up by using my mooring pins and threading the pole through. So there was a part of the pole I couldn't paint, and those parts have become the banding on the poles, which you can see in the blue taped areas here. So I just applied some different coloured paint to those sections. Now, the worst bits were the brackets which the boat hook, barge pole and plank sit on. These had become particularly bad. The paint was all flaking off and they have rotted quite a bit, so I need to replace these at some point. At the moment, I can't find any online. If you know some, please let me know in the comments below. The other thing I painted was the top box. This is showing it here after the application of the first coat, and I went on to give it at least 2 more coats after this, and the result is pretty good. I'm quite pleased with the final result that I got. Now, the paints that I used were from Ronsil, and there's links to them in the description below. I'm not sponsored by Ronsil. I found these paints online, and what I read about them seemed to be pretty good. They're both easy to apply, and they both are easy to clean up with afterwards. You just need water, which makes life a lot easier. No mucking around with white spirits or paint thinners. They went on easy, they did good coverage, and I think they worked really well. Well, that was my week on board the Grey Wagtail. Basically, chores, painting, cleaning, sorting things out, doing all kinds of crazy things. I hope you found that useful or entertaining or informative and gave you an idea of the sort of things you have to get up to on board a narrowboat just to maintain it. So if you've liked this video, please don't forget to give it a big like, a big thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing. I've just gone through the 5,500 subscribers barrier, which I'm really chuffed about, although subscription rates have slowed down. And I think I've just dropped below 5,500 as I'm recording this video. But anyway, if you like the video, please consider liking and subscribing. And if you get a chance, please give it a hype, because that's a new feature on YouTube and it all helps the videos get out there and be seen by people. On the screen now, you'll see a QR code. If you scan that QR code, it will take you through to a free copy of my newsletter about the Grey Wagtail. Typically, I just publish once a week when I put out a video on a Friday, typically at noon. So anyway, if you scan that or click on the link in the description, you will get that notification delivered to your email inbox. Anyway, thanks for watching for this long. Normal service hopefully will be resumed next week. Bye for now.